So the NHL 22 deep dive into the world of chel game mode is out, and it is 27 whole ass minutes. So I'm gonna do something a little bit different. Okay, usually I go through the trailer and I just pause at certain points and then I give my thoughts on it. Today, I'm just gonna have a little bit of a stream of consciousness, and I'm gonna be editing some of the gameplay footage. Well, not gameplay, but trailer footage in the background to try to accompany what I'm talking about. Now, what we saw today was more of a deep dive into the build system than anything, which is kind of what we expected. And what is not exactly what we expected is the build system itself. And now, it sounded like they were giving us full control of our builds back, but obviously that was going to lead to some broken builds and such. So they kind of gave us a hybrid, which is something that I had previously talked about. So I'm a little bit excited, but it doesn't seem like it really hit the mark to me anyways. It's going to be a wait and see thing. First of all, the beta, the technical test, whatever you want to call it, it drops tomorrow. It lasts a week. If you signed up for it, you are likely to get a code. There is limited room, so maybe not everybody's going to get codes. And if you didn't sign up for it, I guess follow EA's socials. They are going to drop codes throughout the week. So basically, it's going to be a 1 week thing where we get access to the game, which is coincidentally what they use. They use the technical test to record this deep dive, which is, I don't know, kind of weird to me. Like, wouldn't you want to have a more clear build and not something with a freaking watermark on it? I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit weird, but it is what it is. So, the closed technical test, this is what we can expect to see. This is what they're using to record this. Now, the first thing that we're talking about is all of the UI and how they added the environment and all that stuff. And something that he talked about was how they wanted to have the whole culture of the sport and the vibe of the sport, I guess, into the menus. And the first thing I thought of is, then why the hell am I standing in a random arena alone? I should be in the locker room. Like, one of the big things about hockey is being in the locker room and just being goofballs in the locker room before the game. So I don't know what gave them the idea that standing alone without my party members beside me was representative of the culture, but I mean, it's something. It looks better than it did last year, but I don't think it's a big feature. Like, I would much rather be in a locker room, and then once I get people into my party, have those people join up my character in the locker room. Like, that would just be a much cooler thing visually, but it is, at the end of the day, a very small feature. Like, it doesn't really affect anything. Now, something else that they talked about in this UI and this new menu system, because I don't, as long as it's functional, okay, the menu just, I don't care. As long as all the options are there and you can find them, I don't really care, as long as it's not slow. So, it is what it is. They say they upgraded it, whatever, I don't care. Something that they did upgrade, though, is you can actually invite your own party members before joining the mode, and then once everybody's in a party together, you can then pick the mode, and you can even switch modes, and your party's going to carry over. Now, what I want to know is, if I get into a game, right, with 2 other party members, and then we just want to play for some odd reason, we want to torture ourselves, play some 6v6 drop-in, we get in there, the game falls apart because Wired Crazy joined, and then some goalie didn't happen, the game falls apart. If we back out, I would love if we had a little bit of clarification as to if the party rolls over, if you, for some reason, can't get into the game. If it does, that's a genius system. If we have to re-invite everybody, if the game fails to get through, then it's not really, I guess it'll save a couple of seconds, and that's about it. But that's a decent feature. That's not bad. So, cool. You can pre-party up with all of your party members, and then do what you want to do as far as modes go. So that's fun. Next up was the player builder. Probably, I haven't seen much reaction online because I've been speaking with other people, some of my friends, on what they thought of the trailer. So I haven't seen much of the reaction online, but I assume the player builder is the most controversial thing here, because it sounded like they were going to give us full control over the player builds, but they said if we actually give y'all full control, you're going to come up with some broken builds, and that's going to lead to just a meta game and no build diversity, which is something that they do have to combat, because if they give us full control, that's exactly what's going to happen. So, we get a hybrid. We get somewhat of a, build your own class system, but at the same time, they're looking to keep them balanced. Now, there's pros and cons to this. Pros are obviously we get a little bit more control. They claim, I'll get to that later, they claim, so we get a little bit more control, but Obviously, the cons is they literally said it in the trailer. If you're level 40, if you're level 50, it doesn't matter. You're going to be matched up against a level 1, and you're going to have the same exact odds at winning. So, in that sense, it doesn't really give you the progression that you need. Progression is going to allow you to specialize your character in one specific attribute, but it's not actually going to make your character overall better, because every time you specialize further and further into something, you're going to become weaker at the other end of the stick. So it's kind of a give and take thing. There's good things about that because you can really build something that specializes in what you do best as a human player, but at the same time, kind of nullifies the whole progression thing. Because they said it themselves, level 50, level 1, level 40, doesn't really matter. You still have the same kind of overall ability with your characters. So it depends from what perspective you're looking at this. This could be a positive or a negative. Now, what I think when I look at the builds, first of all, this trailer was 27 minutes, and we did not get 27 minutes of information. A large part of that was just showing examples of builds, but I mean, it is what it is. It's kind of cool. They showed us a lot. You can go ahead, you can watch a full trailer and pause on every single trait, every single X Factor ability, superstar ability, whatever you want to call them. You can pause on it and read a lot. We actually did it with a couple of my friends, and it's informative. Okay, you're going to be able to build really specific skill sets. Somebody built literally the cheesiest playmaker build you could possibly ever think of. 92 speed, 92 acceleration, and 99 passing. It was basically forced across crease the build. Okay, so you're going to be able to create some cheese builds. I'm going to be able to create my sniper and add my one-timer builds. All of that. I'm going to have a disgusting shot. My boy's going to have the ability to force passes through probably like 4 or 5 defenders. And that's pretty much going to bring back the one-timer meta. So, in that sense, I feel like it could potentially make the game even more cheesy online as far as sixes go. But they're claiming that a big part of this is to keep the builds balanced, so I guess we're going to have to wait and see about that. I feel like, personally, we saw the Playmaker build. That looks cheesy as hell. If you get a sniper on the other end of that with a ridiculous shot off of one-timers, you're not going to be able to do much defensively. So, I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see how defensive builds. I would have loved if they didn't give us a bunch of forward builds, and they actually gave us, for example, somebody building a Playmaker and then somebody building a defenseman whose job it is to stop that playmaker. That would have been really cool, and it's a huge missed opportunity here. That would have been cool to show off, hey, you can build this super passy boy that's going to be able to make freaking Crosby-level passes, but I can also build a defenseman to stop that. They didn't do that here, so I don't know. I feel like it's a lost opportunity, or perhaps you're just not going to be able to build that much of a dominant defensive force. They then showed us a goalie build, which seemed to be pretty cheesy. The man was 6'5", negative 12 pounds, and therefore had 90 speed and acceleration on a 6'5" goaltender hybrid build. I mean, they just brought out the cheese for that goalie build, so I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Perhaps it's going to give good human goalies that know what they're doing, a better shot at competing, but I don't want the goal line sitting butterfly motherfuckers to come back. Hopefully we can prevent that, but we'll see. When I saw that goalie build, I was like, ooh, that screams I'm just going to stay butterfly and move around because I have the speed to do it. They also, something that I found funny was when he said, I like to just stay in butterfly instead of using the hug the post animations, and I was like, man, if only EA just let us get off of the hold the post animations instead of having it be so clunky, we wouldn't have to do that. But I digress. That is what it is. And then to close off the trailer, they talked about how club finals are going to be shorter, which is huge because that playoff system is a little bit broken. Takes too damn long. And they also said, they talked about some of the room. You can match club size. You can add a club size difference meter. So if you say, I'm okay with the other club having 1 or 2 humans more or less than us, it's fine. You can have that. Match goalies as always. There's also an option in private game. So that's a private game. It's not going to be, you're not going to be able to force it on somebody else. You can create a private game where you restrict the ability for people to skip the cutscene. So if you want a really simulation sort of realistic presentation kind of game. I don't know why you would want that, but I guess some people do. I guess for casting for esports, it would be interesting. But basically, you can disable people's ability to skip cutscenes. So, kind of cool for private games, I guess, if you really want to do an esports tournament of some sort or something like that. Now, that was pretty much all of the things that we got, all of the little tidbits of information that we got, except for this last amazing feature. Ladies and gentlemen, the ice is white. How amazing is that? I am so excited. The ice is white. They wrote that in big bold text like it's some fucking massive feature. I don't know. I don't know why that was such a big deal, but the ice is white. Congratulations. Whippity do. Like, I understand that the gray ice was a little bit weird and not ideal, but I don't know. I don't know if I would have wrote the ice is white in such ginormous letters. But that's pretty much what we got out of the 27-minute trailer. Not a bad thing. Like I said, missed opportunity to have a playmaker class and then somebody basically having a counter build designed to stop the playmaker class, but it is what it is, man. That's pretty much what we saw. I think it looks alright, but ultimately, man, the more I looked at it and the more I thought, it seems like a reskin of the trade system, because the way that they balance things is you have to take away up to 5 points for each category, and then you can then add 5 more points into other categories. It feels like a different skin of the trait system that we already had, but I guess we're going to have to wait and see. You can then add some superstar abilities and all of that, so I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe it is. We're going to have to wait and find out for ourselves, and we're not going to have to wait that long because La Beta, or the technical test, is dropping tomorrow. You can bet your ass we're going to be playing on that guy. Unfortunately for me, though, I won't be able to give you some content, I don't think. I'm pretty much sure it's going to be locked, so I'll be able to talk about it, just not post any actual gameplay. This is why you have the watermark on here, because if you post any real gameplay, EA is going to see the watermark with your gamer tag, and they're going to take your shit down quicker than you can say Alexei Ponikarovsky. But that's going to be the end of the video for me, y'all. I hope you enjoyed this little sort of breakdown, sort of opinion. I'm not super excited about it, but I mean, it is progress, okay? They are showing progress. They're showing that they're actually trying, okay? So hopefully we can take this system and build on it for the future so that we get a little bit more actual control over our classes in the future. But I feel like it's a good start. It's a good start. There are some red flags. Okay, you see the playmaker build was 5.7 and the cap speed again was 92. Like that's really similar to the caps that we already have. It doesn't seem like there's a big change. Now, there is one big change though. I forgot to mention that. You can now increase or decrease your face-off attribute. So that's huge for centers. It's going to be, do you actually want to put points into your face-offs, or do you trust yourself mechanically as a player to have somewhat of a lower face-off rating to boost something else? That's going to be up to you. But something else that's up to you is to like the video, subscribe, all that shit. It's G20. I appreciate you watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I'm out. Peace.